Hello everyone. We are excited to be meeting you with another great initiative from Ubrik. So we are introducing the EduMarketing series from Ubrik for the education marketers out there. So what we are going to do with this marketing series is basically to add a lot of value in terms of information and content around education marketing as a topic. And we have industry experts who will come and share the experiences and everything in this show, which will add a lot of value to whatever you're doing and help you in your growth. So that's a goal. And today, to start off our first show, we have with us Mr. Sumeet Ambegaokar from Fortis Holdings. So Sumit, thank you very much for coming on our show. And how do you feel to be part of our show?
Hi, Sujeevan. Thank you so much. And first of all, congratulations to you and your team for such a wonderful initiative. And it's an absolute pleasure and delight to be here. And it's always a nice feeling to be the first one off the block on such a wonderful initiative that you've taken. So absolutely, thank you very much for inviting me. And it's my pleasure to be here.
Our pleasure as well. And we're extremely privileged to have a guest like you with so much of experience. And I think your entire bio or the introduction itself requires so much of, things. But what I feel is, you can introduce yourself as we go along, as I have a question for you in that sense as well.
Sure.
But just to give our audience a kind of understanding as to whom, they are going to see on our show, just a quick introduction about you. So Sumit is the head of marketing, admissions and communications at Fortis Holdings, which operates a group of well-renowned institutions in the school and nursery space. So some of the brands under the Fortis Holding Group are, brands like Regent International School, Sunmark International School, and of course the Jumeirah International Nursery Network, which is like a very established group in the UAE. And also apart from that, Sumit, you have almost more than 20 years of experience, not only in education marketing. So he is a marketing pro himself from, having experience in industries such as, retail, FMCG, telecom, healthcare, you name it, he has it. Yeah. So I think this is just a short introduction about the personality we are kind of, having this discussion with. So we will get into more details as we move along our interview.
Okay. Thank you, Sujeevan. So yeah, currently I am as head of marketing, admissions and communication at Fortis Holdings. Our core business, our core vertical is Fortis Education, but we have several other companies which include a real estate development company. We have subsidiary companies which feed into our education business, which is in terms of the bus transport system, etc., which feed into education. But yeah, as you rightly said, I started my career way back. It's quite some time now. I'm basically an engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer. Not that I pursued much of engineering after that. So my first foray into marketing after my MBA started with one of the very reputed and prestigious organizations in India called ITC, which is, along with the Levers, probably one of the strongest organizations when it comes to FMCG. Mm-hmm. So in those good old days, it used to be more traditional ATL, BTL, but very strongly from a trade marketing and brand marketing perspective. And I had both stints as in that organization. I handled a couple of very premium brands in those days, right from a launch phase. Obviously, those were cigarette brands. And so India Kings, Fives and B&H is what I handled then. But I think that was my maximum orientation and understanding of the reality of brand and handling brands as a little baby. When they nurture, they grow, and the tenets of marketing were inculcated in that amazing organization from a sales and brand perspective. After a long stint there, I moved on to another very fast-paced and challenging industry, which was telecom, and that's when the prepaid market was actually being launched. And therefore, the benefits or the experience of a distribution setup, extending mobility to literally the kiosk, the next door grocery store, to a panwala, as it's called in India, is what I managed, along with a lot of tech platform, because we introduced roaming, we introduced tariff plans. It built a lot of financial acumen that had to come in. So that happened then. And then I moved on to a related industry, which is telecom retail. Mm-hmm. And we actually got into the book of records for the fastest rollout of a retail chain in India. So that was interesting time because it brought in the concepts of the importance of location in retail location is key. How do you ensure that every store is chosen, keeping catchment, keeping your target audience in mind, etc., and ensuring that then you deliver the numbers that you commit to the entire team. Then I moved into healthcare, and from then on, spent some time in healthcare. And that's when I was in healthcare, I moved to Dubai about 8 years back. Yeah, it's been a long time now. Was in healthcare here. And now for the last 2 years, I have been associated with this group called Fortis Holdings, which is essentially into education. And I think when I look back, I think the experience across FMCG, telecom, retail, healthcare from a service perspective, all kind of amalgamates and sits nicely when you run a category like education, which I'm currently in. So it's been an interesting journey so far, and happy to be where I am.
Absolutely. I mean, the way you have moved across industries, because, we see most marketers sticking to one particular domain and finding it very challenging to move across domains. But you've done it successfully across domains, and that too across multiple countries. So I think that is something that inspires a lot of marketers to kind of, explore, because there is nothing that's going to hold you back. Yeah, if you really have the will,
absolutely.
you can move on.
I agree with you. There are people who've been build expertise in that domain for several years together. I think it's a concept similar to distribution. There is a width and depth of distribution. So yeah, as long as you you jump not for the heck of it, but ensure that you spend enough time, understand that category, contribute back to that category. At the end of the day, it's just not self-learning. It's about contributing back to the industry, giving as much as it deserves, and then using that enriched experience to contribute significantly to another industry. I think that's what really the evolution of a good marketer or any individual, I think, is that is how it goes.
Okay. Thank you very much for this, wonderful introduction about your entire career span, because as I said, it has to, kind of inspire the people who are watching here, who might be in two minds that whether can I move out or, all kinds of things coming to them, but, you have done it. And as you said, definitely it's about the expertise in that industry and how you're going to give back to that industry, which is going to propel you forward. But also, Sumit, just, another kind of advice that you would give to all the junior marketers out there. There are so many people, when they start a marketing career, they are, they envision themselves as a CMO one day. Yeah. So what does it require? What does it take? Because you've done it. Yeah. So what does it take to get there? What do you think are the key ingredients?
I think in today's Asian world, the CMO, or the Chief Marketing Officer, as you rightly, has significantly evolved over a period of time to the kind of role that he needs to play today.
Yeah.
It is with the advance of the entire digital online space, the advancement of data analytics, and therefore the usage of data to make decisions, I think has significantly changed the way, a chief marketing officer needs to operate. Obviously, it's apart from leadership skills in terms of people management process, etc. But if I were to look at it, what does a typical CMO, what are the skill sets that he should bring to a table? And at last count, when I kind of was having this discussion with a junior, I think there are 17 and I'm still counting. I don't know how many of them are still there. But I think in today's Asian world, I think first and foremost is, given the way it is, understanding the digital space and the online space is critical. You may not end up doing each of those fragments, but unless you understand what it operates, what's the end result that you desire and want to extract from the digital space is extremely important. So that's key. Two, it's all about data. And if you go back even to when I started my career, the first, or even if you read your Kotler of the earlier days, it says, understand your customer, understand your consumer. And when you start understanding, it's all about using various data points. You started your first question by knowing me, and that's what we need to do when you want to understand consumer. And data plays a significant role in this entire thing. At any point of time as a successful marketer, if you don't nurture and harness your brand and your brand management skills, you're going to be nowhere. Technology has played a significant role, and I differentiated from online in terms of usage of, and you guys are the experts in this, in terms of managing CRM software to ensure that you use all possible data points, all possible knowledge that you have through a significant channel to deliver the end result. So technology plays a critical role. financial acumen is extremely important. Apart from just managing your budgets, implication of any activity on the end result that the organization is going to see, the ROI perspective is very important. As a CMO, you're eventually responsible for the entire customer journey. Therefore, being customer centric and managing the entire customer journey is very important. Just to, on an anecdotal example, just to share, the other day we had, a visit from our VIP, and when we were walking through schools, there was a little potted plant there in which the plant was withering or the flower was not in good shape.
Okay.
It was looked at me and said, what is happening? Our customer journey is not up to mark. So even managing your, so my team started saying, sir, you become a chief gardening officer. I said, no, it's not that. It's about ensuring that you give that superlative experience to a customer, no matter who visits, and therefore keeping your ears and eyes open when you walk your institution, whether it's a school, whether it's a retail store or what have you. It's extremely important that you have that eye for detail and ensure that the job gets done. It's not about who does it, but that is brand experience. So the list just goes on and on in terms of, and then of course, as a successful CMO, you need to ensure that, because most, again, not that other teams are not talented, you would know a lot of people who come in for marketing come in with a lot of talents and skill sets. So how do you harness that? How do you ensure that you are able to leverage individual strengths of their team member to deliver the end result? So the CMO today is as my designation says, MAC, which is marketing, admissions and communication. There's a little S in the beginning, which is strategy, because you play a very critical role with your board members to ensure expansion plans, what kind of growth plans you want to drive for the organization. Then you play a significant role in the strategy, and that's where the CMO supports the entire organization. So you can just keep counting. So at the end of the day, I think it's a short of a CEO, it's a well-evolved, complete role that you manage. At the end of the day, every organization, you identify every organization that you go to by the brand name that it holds. Obviously there is financial help, but the brand is key, and that's what brand equity is all about. And the CMO is responsible and accountable for ensuring that you hold your brand in the highest standards.
Wow. I think that's an amazing way of, shortlisting the key skills that are required by one who aspires to become a CMO. And I'm really humbled by the fact that you brought out the point that even something as small as that plant withering, which is a part of your customer journey, honestly, because anyone coming there, they won't tell you, your customers won't tell you, but they make a perception out of your brand.
I keep telling my team, my strongest and my first brand ambassador is a gentleman called Jacob.
Okay.
He's my security guard at the school entrance gate, because he is the first touch point that my existing and current parents walk in through. He wishes them good morning and they have a good day. So that's where the journey starts. Still, probably even the bursar, the one who dishes out a coffee at the coffee shop, to your accountant who's sitting there, of course, the teachers and what have you. But everyone plays, all of them are an expression of the brand. And that's why it's important as a CMO to walk the talk, keep interacting with these people and ensuring that they carry the same passion and alignment of what you want that brand to stand for. I think that's important.
Fantastic. Amazing. And I think you've given me the kind of input for me to start with my next question to you, which is, when you moved into education from a different industry altogether, what are the challenges that you came across in building brands like, Regent International School, Sunmark International School, because these are all gigantic brands.
Sure.
So would love to hear.
So as I said, I started my journey with these brands 2 years back. So let me not say I have built those brands, but yes, it's my current responsibility to get them to greater heights. Now, to answer this question, especially being where we are, which is Dubai, I want to answer this in two levels, and that will kind of give you the challenges that this category has, which a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people everyone wants education, they'll choose a school and join. Let's look at the macro environment of Dubai. Dubai is very peculiar. Dubai is about 85% expats. Most expats come, like me, I probably came here for a 2-year stint and decided to stay on, but a lot of them come on a very short-term stints, especially the Western expats we're talking about. They come, they want to enjoy the life of Dubai, enjoy whatever, and want to go back. A lot of regulations of where you can stay, where you can buy a house means a lot of mobility within Dubai, and therefore, people keep moving locations, and then with location moves, which means moving house and then choosing your school accordingly. Correct. So what you're trying to do is marketers are not talking of precision marketing, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing precision marketing to a moving target audience. So how do you, so that's on one side. So how do you build awareness, interest, desire, which typically is your IDA model, to eventually advocacy for a target audience which is moving every 2 years? How do you build that strong association with the brand? So that's a challenge on one side. Let's look at the other side. Dubai has over 250 private schools, and public schools are only available to the locals, which is just about 8% of the population. So there is an over supply versus demand. Yes, Dubai is now growing, is aspiring to have double the population, but even at the current extent, we have an oversupply compared to demand. And therefore, and all these Western expats are extremely discerning customers and spoiled for choices. So then you want to establish a brand in a market which is already oversupplied, with a very discerning customer who's experienced the best of international standards, right? And Dubai is like a melting pot of going to either an Australia or a US or a Canada, or going back to UK when we run the British curriculum school. So how do you hold a curriculum which is a British curriculum competing against all of these kind of other curriculum that are available? And therefore, if you look at it on both sides, there is extremely, and then you have a consumer who is at three levels. There is an end consumer who is the child, who has an extremely strong opinion of his own on where he wants to go. What is the school offering him? He'll come back the first day and say, I don't love the school, or he's going to say, I love the school. Then you have a strong influencer market, because most people who move into Dubai will first check with friends and family, how's the market, where do I stay, where do I go, etc. So you've got an influencer set which is influencing in multiple directions. And then there is the strong parent who wants to choose the best school for their child. And a category which is so involved. I mean, you may end up buying a Rolls Royce on the fly, but your child's education, you'll think twice, because that's something which is going to make or break that child's future. And you want to invest time and energy in the best possible path that they get. So I don't think there is any other involved category more than an education. So if you look at Dubai, you look at the macro environment, you look at the consumer, I think it's got challenges all around. And that's what makes this category so interesting.
So I think this is very interesting, because the amount of detail, the buying model itself has so many people influencing the decision. And as you correctly said, you're not only competing with another school, you are competing with different syllabuses, different countries, and people on the go, hyper targeting. Yeah. So many challenges that one who is maybe, considering educational marketing, especially a school, might need to be aware of.
Yeah. And because of this movement of customers or parents, as we call them, we don't call them customers, we call them parents in education, from even one place in Dubai to the other. As the head of marketing and admissions, we also hold the responsibility of retention, which is, of course, large part of it is what happens in the classroom, what happens with the teachers, and how they get the education that they're looking for. But from an entire customer service perspective, giving them the best opportunities for enrichment programs, etc., is something that we drive. So and that's where my experience from telecom comes in, because telecom is typically gross ads, net ads, and churn. In a certain extent, education is also a category which is very similar, where you add new students coming in. There are existing who are leaving within Dubai for various reasons. How do you hold them back? How do you say that this is the school and this is the brand I really love, from whatever a marketing can drive, along obviously with the academic team, which works very hard to make it happen.
Superb. Thank you so much. I mean, it's great amount of insights there, and also you have really broken it down so that anyone who's watching this will kind of understand the complexity. So there is actually a lot of sharpening that requires to manage all this at the same time. Yeah. So whilst we are talking about things like this, there is a huge shift in the way digital technology is evolving. Yeah. And especially everyone is talking about ChatGPT these days. Everyone's talking about AI. And the moment you open LinkedIn, you will only see AI. Yeah. So being a CMO for a big brand like this, right? How do you see technology shifting the marketing role?
Okay, so there are two parts to this question. One is obviously, I'll answer how important is online as a space, and then I'll come to the other part is impact of AI and ChatGPT on will my job go, which everyone has a concern.
Exactly.
So let's look at the first part, which is more easier one to address. There is no two-brainers. It is technology from when I say online is the name of the game. I mean, from our perspective, our focus on obviously online marketing is probably the highest. We do dabble into offline marketing still. There is a lot of merit in still having a reminder medium like an outdoors from time to time. Activations are extremely critical. We'll come to that. But online obviously is one of the most important channels. Yes. And within that, we're talking of a complete 360-degree online experience, whether it's starting off with search, which is quite obvious. Social plays the largest element in it, along with continuous engagement through email marketing. And then there is WhatsApp, which is there at your fingertips, etc. So the whole online space, you now really need to ensure that you are masters in the game, to ensure that you give the customer a complete 360-degree experience. So when they're searching, you're the first ones to be there, which is but obvious. Social plays a huge and critical role. And how do you keep that excitement going that, when you're looking at, if you look at data, and correct me if I'm wrong, you would know it better, that an average parent today of child between 8 to 18 years spends about 9 hours consuming, content on the mobile phone, of which largest is social, along with even games or movie watching, whatever. 9 hours of a day is spent on this instrument, which is lying here. Children spend about 5 to 6 hours. That's about 32% who spend that kind of time. So you're talking of an audience which has got there, apart from whatever they do, which is meaningful in their life, which is probably education or work, the only other time is spent on the mobile phone. So it plays a huge role in driving your entire typical awareness, interest, desire, action module for a consumer behavior. So social is the name of the game. But in that, how do you ensure that you've got high-end, relevant, contextual content being delivered at the right time in this clutter of overexposure? I think is the key. It's not about continuously doing average and mediocre stuff. I think you've got to ensure that you're cutting edge. And that's where the game is changing, actually. That's where technology is helping, giving you higher qualitative output to what can be done. We being premium British schools, we are extremely finicky about our copy, our content, and therefore, yes, apart from having base tools of Grammarly and whatever that help you, we still have content writers. It still goes through an internal approval process before anything is published. We are extremely particular about that, and it's important for our category. So that's really what's happening in the online space. You cannot not be there or you'll die out. And got to be cutting edge if you want to survive. Correct. It's not about just being there because everyone is. Absolutely. You've got to be one step ahead of competition. So that's that one part. And now coming to your other most important question: what will happen to my job? Okay. Well, my personal belief is, at least from the marketing perspective, it's not yet there to take away your job. Just the other day, Sujeevan, I was looking at a video on LinkedIn which showed baristas to be replaced by AI, where you've got this robo who's actually giving the best of cafe dish stuff. So whatever I'm seeing now will probably change tomorrow, and that's how the life and dynamics are changing. Absolutely. But today, the critical part on which I keep telling my team is, AI will not replace your job. But if you don't adapt to it, if you don't adopt it, if you're not ahead of the curve to use AI-based tools and technology for a designer, for a photographer, for editing, if you don't use it, you will be replaced by a person who uses it better than you. So AI is not replacing you. AI is a tool which will replace a person who uses it better. So if you want to stay in this game, you've got to, if you go back to the age old, it took, I think, 76 years for the first man to run the 4-minute mile. And then the record got broken every year. Once it's done that, everyone wants to aspire to do more. So it's not that AI is now a significant tool which enhances your job. The output that you could do as an average designer now is 10 times better. As a photographer is 10 times better, or a videographer is 10 times better. But there are 10 other people who can do it better than you. So how do you remain the best? I think that's important. So I keep telling even my photographers in the team, if you both are my photographers in the school, amongst the 5,000 people who walk around the school, you are a professional photographer. So you better be the best. Because everyone else does it for a hobby, for a passion. And if they click better pictures than you, then I'm sorry, they need to be there. So it's important that you strive for that perfection and you use all these tools effectively rather than getting afraid of this entire technology. So I think continuously, as they say, sharpen your pencil, sharpen your straw every day if you want to survive this race. Exactly. Otherwise, AI will not replace you. People with better AI skills will replace you.
Absolutely. I think this is something that we've been advocating on LinkedIn, because there is a lot of debate around whether AI is actually going to replace my job. Yes, certainly in certain industries, there will be replacements, which inevitably is. But in terms of marketing, as you correctly said, it's the copywriter who knows how to get work done in the shortest possible time frame, leveraging AI technology.
And Sujeevan, that's across for example, we look at a lot of data crunching, number crunching. And the other day, probably the exercise that I did with my MD probably would have taken me a week to kind of crunch that data in earlier days. Today it happens in 3 hours, right? And it's there on the table. But he asked me a key question, and that gives me great solace. And that's what I want to tell the team here. He said, "Yeah, all this data is fine. Ye to sab numbers hai. Tell me your acumen and strategy. Should we or shouldn't we take that decision?" So that, based on years of experience, looking at data is what? Data is a set of figures. What do you make out of that data? How do you construct the difference between information to data? How do you process that data to take a meaningful decision which will impact business? I think still cannot be replaced by whatever you have. So as long as you're there, you're able to use all these tools to come to data points which says, now with this is the difference that we'll make, and that's the contribution we'll make as humans. I think till then we are good, but it's changing. It's changing rapidly. So we all need to be aware of that.
Fantastic. I think that was my next question to you, by the way, right? It was about data, but you gave me the answer beforehand. It's not about the data that's on the table, but it's also about your experience in using this data to create that competitive advantage. Isn't that right, Sumit? I think that's what you told.
See, I think it's across all. Now, the more you start looking at marketing, at the end of the day, let's say, at a very broad picture, I operate in the education space. So as a head of marketing and admissions, what will be my KRA? I need to get admissions for my school.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, I have 96 nationalities. And we say I need to understand a consumer. It's taken me 25 years to understand my wife. So, imagine 96 different nationalities. They come from different backgrounds. They have different aspirations. They have different understanding of the education space, what they want for their child. Today, there are parents who want their child to reach the moon, with high-end technology. There's somebody who wants them to be a rock star. Somebody wants them to be, whatever they are. And there are multiple fields available. My daughter is doing a design course, which probably in my age, I didn't even know existed. So you're trying to understand this consumer, right? 96 nationalities, different types who are seeking education in Dubai and choosing a school. Okay. Right. How do I customize my communication to all of them? Okay. The only thing that can help me structure it is immense data points. And then I try and filter it and say, and build a model of this is my end consumer with, and this is what excites him. And this is what I should be doing to reach out my communication so that it says, yes, this is the school that I want to go to. Absolutely. So use of data to ensure that this happens is extremely critical. On the other side of the funnel is, as I said, because people tend to choose a school and then after a couple of years want to move out. Understanding who's leaving, why they're leaving, which year groups, what is it that is impacting their decision to move. It's very simple to say they changed house. But my question to my team is, because they were probably unhappy with the school, they changed house. Look at it the reverse. How do we ensure that, and we are able to get people from other schools coming into us? So obviously it's a two-way street. So it's important to understand, data from every perspective. So we're talking big data, whatever, but every decision that you take today is based on meaningful structured data layered with all your experience and human intelligence. So it's not just about make a spreadsheet and it says that this is the number that I need to do, so we'll do this. How do you layer that with your experience and intelligence is critical. So data right from the beginning has been, data is king, data is gold, whatever you want to call it, and you can never replace it. Customer is king, data is king. It's period. If you're marketing, you need to believe in it and ensure that you keep, it's like excavation. How much do you keep? Correct. Every discussion that I have with my team, it's like you keep peeling the onion, you keep looking layer after layer, and you start understanding so much more. Okay. Obviously, at some point of time, you need to stop, make a decision, move on. That impact of decision adds another layer so that it's a continuous evolving process. And therefore, from that perspective, we use a lot of data in our consumer marketing campaigns, to our communication, to our even customer experience perspective.
And one more thing to add here is, Sumit, you would also agree that when you are digging into a lot of data, especially there's so much of data available, to have structured data, leveraging technology that can give you the right data is also equally important. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in today's Asian world, the most critical resource or scarce resource is time. There is no time. What you wanted tomorrow is wanted today. Yes. What you want today is wanted now. Therefore, it's important that we do not have the time to look up books and reams and find data. That data has to be there at your fingertips. So which means support of technology, support of systems, CRM, what have you, in terms of BI tools or whatever is mandatory. There is no two ways about it. Unless you have these at your fingertips, obviously you need to know what to look for. It's like walking into a massive library and saying, I don't know what I'm looking for. Then you'll spend days there. You need to know what you look for. You need to have the tools which will make that data available to you. And you need to know why you want that data in the first place. What is the end outcome that you desire? Otherwise, you'll get analysis paralysis, as I call it, and you'll end up standing at a junction and saying, I've got all this amazing information, but I don't know what to do with it.
Absolutely.
So I think it's clarity of thought, clarity of what data you want and how do you match that. So in that perspective, and that's will give you strategic direction. Otherwise, you'll be, always confused with data overload.
Where you want to go. Absolutely. And Sumit, now you said that one of the most important responsibilities of a CMO is to also develop the strategy. So as we all know, people have different versions for a strategy, but if you don't have strategic direction, an organization will not, achieve its goals and, of course, success and all that follows. But more than the strategy piece, what people find challenging, or especially the education marketers out there, especially the senior ones, might be having challenges in terms of aligning their team on the strategy. So what are some of the tips that you would share in your experience that can help our audience?
I think very interesting question, because at the end of the day, as a leader, okay, what are the two key things that you manage, apart from several other things, is people and processes.
Yeah.
You need to make processes which will enable people to deliver what they're best at.
Yeah.
I have a 30-member team. I can't do those 30 jobs. I need to ensure that the 30 of them do it right so that the whole team delivers.
Correct.
So from that perspective, A is to create an environment, create the processes which will enable them. And these processes are evolving continuously over a period of time, because the way data changes, structure changes, technology comes in, these processes need to be updated continuously for them to deliver, which is one part. Two is obviously, which a very aggressive group that we are, there is continuous thought process on how do we grow new school, where school, which country, etc. Do I increase classrooms? Do I increase number of children per class? There are various, they may seem small, but these are all strategic decisions when it comes to impacting the overall business, as you would call it. From that perspective, when you have a large team, okay, I keep giving this example to a lot of people. Okay, I can tell you to run, Sujeevan, come on, you're a great athlete, run 100 meters. Okay, if you just get on your marks, start running 100 meters, and then I tell you, Sujeevan, I want you to run here, and you ran there. That's not what is the end result.
Correct.
You got to be Usain Bolt, but in the direction that we want you to go, which means it's all about vectorial alignment. It's not speed. Speed is, like we used to say, brand ambassadors. Today is brand advocacy. It's not about how fast you do it. It's about in the direction that I want you to go, how fast do you run.
Correct.
So it's about aligning the team to a vectorial direction. Some of these are minor steps, some of them are whatever. So we start our week with a weekly huddle with the entire team. It's extremely important. Though it's half an hour on a busy Monday morning, I ensure that there is a clarity of thought on what happened last week. Great weekend, but let's align and focus for the next 5 days. Okay, because these sometimes are decisions or quick inputs that I have received from my board over the weekend, which I need to ensure that the team is aligned. So it's important to do that. We normally follow that up with a quick weekly huddle as a concept with my marketing heads is critical, because so that I know what they are into, where are they stuck, how can I help them, and what direction they're running in. And we as a team do a strat meet every Friday.
Okay.
I learn so much from that end designer or my marketing coordinator or my admissions lead, the front of house who captures voice of customer. So we have a strat meet every Friday where we pick 2 or 3 industry specific topics and some which are key projects that are happening across the group. And we devote those 3 hours to each other for self-development, learning and alignment in that sense. So those are extremely critical, apart from obviously whenever there is something which is of strategic nature, which needs to be communicated immediately is critical. Plus I as a normal principle, and I think I have learned it from all the organizations I worked in the past, I do 3 monthly catch up with my team members. because one is a macro alignment, and eventually, by the time it trickles down, he is running in a different direction. It's like going to a nursery where you said child running here when everyone is supposed to go there. So I need to get my team, continuously aligned. And I keep telling them, guys, at the end of the day, a team can run as fast as its slowest member. That defines the speed of the team, not the fastest.
That's
when a herd moves and a lion is chasing a group of deer or gazelle, he eats the last. And the team loses its members. So we got to be fast and nimble-footed as the first. So we need to move together. So there are these little things that you keep doing. You interact. It's all about, as I said, I am marketing, admissions, communication. I think communication is the key. Communication with individuals, communication with the team, ensuring that, and we tend to disagree at times.
That's right.
And it's important to have that discussion because it kind of throws multiple angles. But once we take a decision, then we agree wholeheartedly. We align with that decision and give it our 100%. Maybe there are times when at the end of the road, we realize, oh no, the second decision B would have probably given us better results. So be it, it's a learning. But while we are on it, it can't be 5 people pulling in this direction and 5 in that. So it's important to get that alignment. And we've got, when you're talking of a marketing team in a place like this, we got 30 extremely sharp and brilliant people. So how do you use their energy to run in that direction that you want to is very, very critical.
So spending a lot of time in terms of communicating what you need as a leader is very important, just like, obviously to get the best out of them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I think that is something that a lot of people in leadership positions fail to do. They hardly speak to their teams.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think communication, interacting as a leader is extremely important.
Yeah.
Happy situations are easier, but challenging situations are tough. How do you, and you'll have a team eventually says, boss, this is not going to work. There's no way I'm going to do this. How do you work with him? How do you engage with him in a conversation to get him to try your strategic intent? And there are times when sometimes I may feel that this decision taken by the board may not be the best, but when we, as I said, we agree, we give it our 100% because obviously they've got far more experience than I have, and therefore probably they've taken that decision and we live by it, and it eventually shows that yes, they were right. So it helps.
Superb. So I think now, since we are coming to the conclusion of our discussion, being all this busy, with managing a team of 30 members, 3 different mega brands, 2 schools and 1 nursery, it's all, a hectic lifestyle, I would say. But amongst all these things, how do you keep updated with the latest trends? And obviously you have a family, which I should not forget. Yeah. So that would be an interesting...
I know. In today's Asian world, there are these 3 P's in life that one needs to. One is your professional life. There is the personal life, and I also believe there is the private life, which you need for yourself. And everyone needs to have whatever percentage they have to allocate for it. Normally, people talk of personal and professional, but I think you need time for yourself.
Absolutely.
And within that time is either to just go away and meditate, or it's time to sharpen the saw. What is it that you want to enhance on your skills? And I think learning is a never-ending process. And especially now being in the school, you see education in every corner of the building. So, it's important that we continuously, education never stops, learning never stops. So unless you have that passion and DNA within you that I want to read, I want to learn, I want to understand this, you will start becoming blunt. So as much as you can, and it's the good part is it's all available in the online space. As much as you can, again, you need to know what you want to add to your skill set.
Correct.
What is it that you want to try out? What is you want to experiment? Communicate, talk to people. Probably, for example, I as a passion try and do book reading, and therefore I read a book, and therefore you want to read a few books. You don't have the time. I'll give you the synopsis of that book in, let's say, 15 minutes. So you're updated on what this latest book is talking about. How do you use these kind of skill sets between people to pick up interesting stuff? And if I find that interesting, how do I then start going deeper into it? Yes, in today's online world, LinkedIn courses, etc. So, available. How do you continuously engage with those and grow? Seminars, symposiums, yes, at points of time, which are the ones which are relevant, which you want to attend. But the means can be whatever. I think it's the intent. It's the intent that at any point of time, I want to be a better version of myself today than what I was yesterday, and tomorrow better than what I am today. And learning and knowledge is, I think every individual at the end of the day, a job is about knowledge, skill, attitude. Okay. Knowledge, there's abundance outside. You may have whatever you need to add knowledge. Skills, because of technology, are changing extremely rapidly. You got to add on to your skills.
That's right.
But all that can happen if you have the attitude to learn and attitude to embrace and embody those changing skills.
Fantastic.
So that's what it is.
Fantastic. So this also leads me to ask a question. Do you deliberately put a schedule on your, agenda to make sure that you read a book, maybe 1 hour a day? How does it work?
Would love to do that, but doesn't necessarily happen. There are times when, it's that, it's in the age old, I studied science and engineering or whatever, but some principles you tend to remember. There is that point of influx and then there is the escape velocity. So when you pick up a book, you within the first few pages, when you get hooked onto it, then it's impossible even to devote 1 hour. Then it's about how do you pull yourself out of it.
That's right.
So it's all about a question of finding that sweet spot in whatever. So yes, you need to have a regimentation. You need to draw a line where I say I'm going to shut my work. There is a time that I need to dedicate to my gym every day, which I need to for obvious benefits. There is a time that I need to spend to add whatever. There are times you realize, you're getting blunt, probably you spend more time. So it's a little dynamic, but you need to make the most of your 24 hours into 30 days, into 365 days to make it happen.
Totally understood. I think good tips out for all our audiences out there. And I think the last question, is the most important question. So there is a lot of weight on this because, this summarizes everything. Because the entire objective of this series is to give a lot of value to education marketers or those who are aspiring to take education marketing as a career. So what is your advice? Should someone out there take education marketing as a career? And if so, why?
Okay, why not? I think it's I'm not saying all categories are interesting. All categories have their challenges. All categories have their fun moments. But just to give you an analogy, and which will probably help some marketers who are choosing education. I was in healthcare for 6 years. As a marketer, what is my job? My job is to fill up clinics with patients so that the doctors make revenue. I used to walk the clinics in the morning and imagine on one side, I'm happy because the clinic is full, it's generating business. But look at the ambience. It has to be so sad. You see people who are suffering, people who've got ailment, people who are sick, have forgotten their job, have come with crying children, our parents who are, worried about their children is filling up the clinic. It's such a different mindset you start your day with.
That's right.
Cut across 180 degrees, I walk across my nursery and you see bubbling children running around, parents having a great time, walk the primary section, they're bursting with energy, the children. So it's a completely positive mindset you start your day with. And it rubs off. That energy rubs off. From the place, we've just moved here, but we were based close to the school and I could see the football field, and I, being a sports person myself, you could see children playing football in the afternoon. The energy, the vibes that you get. So as a category, it's amazing. There's so much that you learn from children perspective. Plus this category is a combination of the best of service industries. It's the best of, from a perspective of product industries. There's so much use of technology. There's so much use of understanding consumer behavior. There is acquisition and retention on either side. I don't think any other category gives you this in a market which is so volatile, target market changing continuously. I think it gives you a complete lesson in what marketing should be. And I think it's an extremely important and interesting category to be in.
That's a very optimistic way of looking at this industry as a whole. Because at the end of the day, what are you doing? You're unleashing the future potential of our generations. Yeah. So absolutely amazing. And I'm, kind of thrilled with the answer you gave, because it's a different perspective altogether. And I think, we are done with our session for today. But honestly, I'll tell you, Sumit, this was a huge learning curve for myself as well. Yeah. And we've had this discussion before. I've been telling you that, I would like to learn from a pro marketer like you. So I think this was a great discussion.
I'll be really happy and humbled if this adds value to anyone who's listening, anyone who wants to choose not only just a career in marketing or education, but anything that they want to do for. Happy to help always. And once again, Sujeevan and team, thank you so much for having me here. And it's been an absolute pleasure and a wonderful morning to start the day with. Thank you so much.
So especially being a weekday and you sharing all this time with us, we are privileged and honored to have you with us today. So thank you very much once again, Sumit. And I hope you have a great day ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once again, Sujeevan, and the entire team at Ubrik calling me over. It's been a great start to the day with such a beautiful conversation, and wish you all the best.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.